it's Khristina from Redefine Creative, and I had some questions on this particular layout that I posted the process video for last week. So this was a scrap lift of Katty Miranda, and it's called Baseball Fanatic if you want to go back and look in the process videos. But I had some questions about how I made the background. And so Katty used the same exact kind of background pattern in her layout. There is a 12 by 12 stencil that has this like gridded lines where you have some that are horizontal and some that are vertical, and it's a full 12 by 12 stencil. Katty, I believe, has that stencil, and so that's how she created her background. I don't have that stencil, and I'm not a huge fan of, oh, I want to copy this look, I'm going to go out and buy every product known to man to make that happen. So I'm much more a fan of, I'm going to use what I have. So I had, like I said, I had a few people ask me, how did you create the same look? So I'm just going to show you real quickly how I created this background look. So in case you are curious or you are not a fan of buying every stencil on the market, just like me. Okay, so I had 2 stencils in my stash. And these are from, I believe they're both from Heidi Swap. Actually, this one might be Amy Tan. So this one might be Amy Tangerine, and this one is Heidi Swap. And so I knew I had 2 that were lines. They're not the same exact shape, but I can fix that problem. This one, I felt like these were going to be too wide. So it's much wider than what I ended up going with. And I knew from Katty's layout, I was using small photos. So if I would have went with this big one, it would have kind of overwhelmed my photos. So this is a much better size compared to what my photos are going to be. So then I just decided that I wanted to have 5 lines that would be showing with my texture paste. And I kept that consistent, except where I added like a couple of extras just to change up the color. So I wanted to create a box that was going to have 5 lines because I like those uneven numbers. And it was the right size of a mixed media, like a whole box, to coordinate with my photos. So I went back to this one, and I know that I want 5 of these to show. So I'm going to take, and this is what I'm like, my old crappy washi tape. So stuff that like came with something else, or I picked up on clearance for $1/4. Something that I'm not going to probably use on a layout. And so this is just like plain lime green. And so this is what I use when I'm just basically wasting a washi tape. So I'm not putting it on a layout to use as a decoration. I'm using it as something else. So then I counted out that I want 5 of these lines to show. And then I marked the rest, like kind of created a line there with my washi tape. So I know that I want these 5 lines to show. And then I did the exact same thing this way to make it into a box. And you can measure it out so that it's exact. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it because I'm not really using this for an actual layout. I would be much more exact if I was using it for my real layout. So now I have a square with those 5 lines that I want my detail to be. So I'm just going to use this kind of scrap piece of paper. And then I basically picked 3 different texture pastes. So I picked black, and then I have a grayish silver, and then I have a maroon that has a kind of gritty dirt texture to it. And so they're all from different places. And this is where that Inca gold came in here. It was what I was going to use for my grayish silver. I ended up using an art company one instead. Sorry, I just knocked that little piece off. Okay. I ended up using an art company one instead, but the Inca gold you can absolutely use for the same exact thing. So then all I did is I took my stencil and decided where I wanted my squares to be. And so I knew that I wanted some of the dark ones here, and both of those vertical. And this is similar to what Katty had in hers. And then I was going to put a horizontal of a different color in the top. So a vertical, and then a different color horizontal. And so that's where I started. So I basically just lined this up with where I was going to want it to go. So let's say we want it right here. Why not? And then I'm going to take a little bit of my texture paste and put it right along my tape. And then I'm just going to use my palette knife and kind of spread it through. And I am not trying to keep it super neat because this is a baseball layout, and so it's dirty and boyish and crazy. Anyway, I totally went off the edge there. Sorry, guys. And then I'm just going to pull that up, and that's going to give me my 5 lines. And now I can move down to my next spot where I want that same exact pattern to go. Grab a little bit more texture paste. And I've got that same exact thing. And that one I did a little messier so that you can kind of see that same detail where I wanted it to be messy. And so then what I would do is I would wait for this to dry, and then I would go ahead and flip my stencil and come back into this open space. And now I've got my vertical lines here, and I can use whatever other modeling paste or texture paste, acrylic paint, whatever it is that I want to use in that same exact fashion. And I just continued that up this entire detail of the layout. So what I tend to do is the colors that are the same first. So when I made this, I did all the black ones first, and then I did all of the maroon in my second set of drying. Then I let all that dry, and then I did the silver in my last set. So there's kind of 3 different drying periods that I use to create a pattern like this. So it would be a much easier look to create with that stencil. Like I said, the 12 by 12 stencil that Katty has. I didn't have that stencil, so I just went with kind of a do-it-yourself solution, and it gave me the same look that I was going for and mimicked her layout the way I wanted it to. So I hope that was helpful, especially Christine, because I know you specifically wanted to see exactly how I had done this, but I hope it was helpful to everybody, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!